Welcome to Life Planning 101, brought to you by Kennedy Financial Services of Eastland. Tune in every Monday morning at 8:30 on KATX and KWBY, and again on Saturday morning at 9 on KATX and KWBY as Angela Robinson joins Terry Slavens to share important financial information to help you live life on purpose. Insurance, investments, estate and tax planning, and much more. All covered now on Life Planning 101.
And we're back with Life Planning 101 right here on KTX KDY. Terry Slavens with Angela Kennedy Robinson. Good morning, Angela.
Good Monday, frigid morning. I tell you what, that northerner they got in Montana where they got the Canadian snow, it finally hit us. And it's true what they say that you can be wearing shorts and a parka in the same day in Texas. Well, that just happened.
Absolutely.
But we've got a great show today. I'm really excited about this. And I want to take you first to a story of something that happened this weekend because I think it's a great interlude. But, you know, we're talking about COVID-19 a lot, obviously. It's everywhere. It's everything right now. It's everything consuming everything. And we live in a world that right now it's really a test of a lot of things, a test of not only our patience with our spouse and our kids and all that, but a test of how well we've been a steward of our money, right? How well that we're going to be able to endure this from a perspective of having enough toilet paper in our house, how well of, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things. And so the first thing that came to mind when all this hit was we live in a town of people that have a lower income rate.
Right.
And I really thought about the fact of how those families are going to be impacted that live paycheck to paycheck. And then I thought, well, reality is that there's probably half of the millennials that are living that way. There's Xers, Generation Xers that are still living that way. And unfortunately, there's baby boomers that are still living that way. And I thought, what do these people really need to know about during this time? Because, yes, we work with people that obviously have resources to be able to get through this. Now, could it hurt them? Yeah. Sure. Could it hurt things? Absolutely. But they're going to be able to weather this storm. And, we've talked about several times that people are always in different boats. But chances are, is someone that's close to you that's not going to be able to weather this storm well financially. And it's going to be the financial test of their lifetime. In a sense, right? It might be the financial test of your lifetime in a lot of senses, just in different ways. So what I would encourage people to do is this is going to be an awesome show. Pass this along. Share this on iTunes or iHeartRadio, KTXradio.com, KWBYradio.com, our website, Kennedy-financial.com. There's also an article, a periodical you can send out on this because we're going to be talking about what people can be doing right now to actually protect themselves in this environment. Everything from what you aren't thinking about. Everybody's thinking about cash and toilet paper. Okay. but what about your credit?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right. And when people are forgetting about this until it becomes a reality check. And so we're going to be talking about those things on the show today. So this is going to be invaluable information for multitudes of generations that you're not going to want to miss. Now, when I said I have a story to tell from this weekend, I actually didn't even know this happened. So we were out digging some holes. We're doing some testing in our field. And of course, I'd already worked out for the day. Brett said he wanted to, work out, so he was digging the holes. I was sitting there drinking my drink and just watching him, and it was grand time. And our oldest son was with us during this process, and I didn't even know till we're sitting out back later, and Brett said, "Yeah, did you hear what Celie said to me?" And there was a rock in one of the holes that we were digging, and he just kept beating away, and Celie said, "Dad, if you just dig around it, you can get it up." So, so elementary, but a 7-year-old figured it out, right? Yeah. And it got me to thinking. I was like, okay, first of all, after I laughed incessantly for a while because it's so true, right? He did get it up, and that's exactly what he said. I was trying to do, right, is get around it, but I couldn't figure out how far around this rock went, right? But, I thought about it as how, there's always these shows about how elementary kids are smarter than you in a lot of ways. And I think the reason that, they are is because they don't overthink things, or they just look at the basics. Yes, yeah. They look at the basics for what the basics are. If there's a rock, dig a hole around it so you can get the rock out, right? And how many of us have that rock in our eye right now?
Oh, yeah.
And we can't dig around it. We can't see out of it because all we are worried about is getting that toilet paper at Walmart, right? I keep going back to the toilet paper, but we all know how important this is, and what's going on. And there's a lot of jokes going on around it. And I do say that is probably one of the most spiritually uplifting things during this whole COVID-19 is every day I get a multitude of cartoons and jokes that are sent to me from friends and family. So you got to love that. But, the reality is we've got that in front of us and we've got to be able to look how to dig it out because, people may or may not have emergency savings right now. They may or may not have good credit coming into this. They may or may not have manageable debt coming into this problem. They may or may not have health insurance coming into this problem. They may or may not have a job right now. They may or may not have a job before they came into this problem. And just to give you some hard statistics is TransUnion has actually been monitoring, which is, one of the credit companies.
Right.
So they've been monitoring the financial impact of consumers weekly through this. And in their latest report that was released, and it was from data from the week of March 30th. Okay, so we're behind a couple weeks. 3 out of 5 Americans have reported that they were affected financially. 3 out of 5.
Over half.
Yeah, that's a big number. And that was a couple weeks ago when we're hearing consistently about small businesses drying up, right? Unemployment numbers are climbing tremendously each week. Hours are being reduced, cut, pay is getting lessened, whatever it is. And then more and more people are going on furlough, and that's happening at large degrees. I was just listening right before I got here about a South Dakota processing plant that they're going to be shutting down. So, you think about what's going on in our environment, and yes, it's to deal with the illness and to deal with the healthcare, but there's also the financial side of this. And it's hard when you're in the thick of something to see in front of you. You think about when you're in fog and you're trying to drive your car, right? And you're looking like literally right in front of your car just to see where you're going. You can't see the horizon. You can't see your goal in mind. And you have to remember that eventually you're going to drive out of that fog. There's that old saying, this too shall pass, right?
Light at the end of the tunnel.
There is light at the end of the tunnel. My grandfather would always tell me, this too shall pass. And that's when things got tough. And we're in that moment that this too shall pass. So when that fog clears and this pandemic is over, what's your financial situation going to look like?
Hard telling.
It's hard. It's hard to tell. Will you still have that good credit? Are you going to have that manageable debt? Will your decisions that you've made, even if you're in a good place financially, will the decisions that you've made cause you permanent financial damage? And I'm fearful that there's people that are going to be self-inflicting financial damage on their lives, and they don't even know it. I'll repeat that again. I fear that there's going to be people that are going to be self-inflicting financial damage on their lives, and they don't even know it.
But people go into it with good credit, with credit available on credit cards, so they use that to survive this time. And then when they come out, maybe they can't pay that.
That's right. And
or you have your emergency fund that you've been diligent about saving, and all of a sudden it's exhausted when you come out of this.
Exactly. So, what is it that you have in your future? Your goals, are they still going to be obtainable? And how are you going to be able to make sure that you can still accomplish the things that you want to do and to protect the things that you want to do? So I think no matter your situation, when the fog clears from all of this, you've got to be focused on being able to move forward. You've got to be in a place that you can at least move forward. And how do you do that? Well, we've got 3 things on Life Planning 101 that you're not going to want to miss today. Make sure you tune in.
Segment 2, Life Planning 101, right here on KTX, KDY. Angela?
Yes, and we're talking about the personal finance test of a lifetime, in a sense, right here after the blessing of Easter Monday is upon us. And, I was actually listening to my devotion this morning. Everybody on the show knows I love Stephen Fudrick. And Fudrick, he's going to kill me because I never can pronounce his last name. He never says it on YouTube, just for justification purposes there. But it was interesting. I fully expected this morning, because I listened to him on Monday mornings, and I fully expected this morning that his show was going to be on Easter yesterday, it popped up. So I just hit it and kept playing. Well, it was a Christmas show from 2018, and it was talking about peace. And the journey isn't to peace, but finding peace in your journey. and inviting, God to be with you during this process. And I think a lot of us can find something from that right now is, and this is an add-on to the show, but just to remember is, you aren't going to find a destination of peace. You've got to find peace of where you're at. So no matter what you're going through or what your situation is, figuring out, I can either make one or two decisions about my situation. I can wallow in it, or I can be able to accept where I'm at and learn from it and grow from it and come out of this in a better place, sure. Right? And I think all of us get to a place in some points of our lives where we do wallow in it. And we have to wake up and say, okay, now I've had enough of that pity party, right? It's kind of like Scarlett O'Hara. I'll start tomorrow. But, I think this is a good quote by Fred Rogers. He says, often when you think you're at the end of something, you're at the beginning of something else. Often when you think you're at the end of something, you're at the beginning of something else. So this is the end of something for a lot of people. This feels like the end in a lot of ways for a lot of people. What is it the beginning of?
Hopefully greater times. Greater times,
right? And so we're going to help you. We're going to help you today protect some things so that you can have that new beginning and you can get a good start and you know what's going on. And the first things first, I want to talk about credit, because credit is something that no matter if you're wealthy or poor, you need it. Right. In the world that we live in today, it's essential. It affects everything from insurance premiums, like your property and casualty that you have, to job opportunities. Your credit check gets done. Some people won't. We've had to turn people down because their credit was so bad that the industry wouldn't even allow them into our business.
Right.
Okay. Utilities and rent. Interest rates on all of your debt. And we've had shows on this before where that can actually cost you 6 to 7 figures over your lifetime. Just the difference between good credit and bad credit, right? And that's huge. And whether or not you can even obtain debt as an individual or business. And I say this because people forget that if you're a business owner and you're going through this crisis and you have credit and you don't protect that credit, when you come out on the other side and you're still that same entrepreneur that you were going into this thing, how are you going to start over?
It's going to be tough.
It's going to be tough. So you have to protect that credit. It's a must. It is absolutely a must. Now, there is extremely, extremely bright light in this tunnel right now. You don't even have to wait to the end of it. And this is so cool. I can believe it. All the media is focused on everything negative, but I can't believe that there aren't more people talking about this, because it's such an amazing opportunity for people to be taking advantage of. Anytime that we have a natural disaster declared in an area, you can protect your credit. Did you know that? Without paying your bills.
Via,
that's the question, right? Okay, so a lot of people don't even know this. Well, and especially I think, we live in rural Texas, middle of nowhere. We haven't had this massive tornado come through and strike us. Chances of a hurricane getting here, well, that might be the end of the times. We work with people to the west. It doesn't happen. We don't get these natural disasters in those senses. But people in natural disaster areas probably are familiar more with this. So, and with the CARES Act, now you got to think about all 50 states have been declared a natural disaster.
First time ever,
right? We're under, so that's our national disaster. So it's extremely important for you to remember that. And the CARES Act's provisions have made it possible for you to keep your credit in good standing under that time. So here's what you need to do. Number 1, do not miss a payment. Don't miss a payment before you start doing something. Okay, if you're feeling it, strain right now, today, you start picking up the phone, but do not miss payments, because the moment you miss payments, this opportunity goes out the window. Okay, so you have to keep your credit in good faith. Okay, now obviously if you're a few days late on a payment, it's definitely worth calling your lender and not just giving up because you didn't do that, but don't miss a payment. Right. That's my point. Okay. Number 2, you need to call each one of your lenders and creditors. So if you have a bank that has your mortgage, another bank that has your car, and 2 credit cards, you call all of those lenders immediately. Okay, you ask them to apply the natural disaster code to your credit report right then and there, okay? And you're going to work out an agreement with them for forbearance or for modified payments over this time period. Yes. How many people know this? Why is this not talked about? I don't understand.
That's why we have this show.
Yeah. Here's the thing is that I think there's a lot. I know them. I have friends that are on furlough. And they've got great financial stewardship. And there's only so far that 6 months of emergency savings is going to go. So what are they going to do when that's dried up? What are they going to dip into? And which should they dip into? Should they dip into their retirement accounts, knowing they're on furlough, knowing that they're going to get to go back to work eventually, or should they just talk to their creditors and see what the opportunities are? Well, my suggestion is you go to those creditors and you see what your opportunities are in the situation that you have first.
Right.
Because if it doesn't affect your credit and you're able not to take your money out of a down market, number two, right, it's a win-win situation for you. And you can pull through this with flying colors. So even though, again, you think it's the end of something, this may be the beginning of something great, right? So this is really, really big. Second thing to this is a lot of people don't have good credit to begin with, right? You got a lot of time at home right now, all right? Let's get it cleaned up. Let's do it. Let's do it right now. Make this a new beginning for yourself. Take this time at home. You know, who was it that said, and it might have been someone like Abraham Lincoln. You would know if it's Abraham Lincoln, Terry, but about the best investment you can make is in your own education.
Oh, yeah.
In yourself, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, making an investment in yourself to get your financial house in order right now, isn't this a great time to do it, in a sense, right? You cut out all the fat. After all you need is toilet paper. I mean, we know this to be true. So, I mean, I even see like cartoons with kids' plates. All they have on it is the toilet paper. Moms, when this virus going to be over, right? So, but here's the deal is that, you know, clean it up. And if you go to our website, www.kennedy-financial.com, we've actually got that 7 steps to 720 on there. We've had Mr. Phil Tyrone on our show before, and he's got a system that you can actually, what's really cool, you go in, you subscribe to the system, you do the system, and at the end of the period of time, you get all your funds back from doing the system itself, and you've cleaned up your credit in the process.
Win-win situation.
It's a win-win situation. So protect your credit, get your credit refreshed, renewed, whatever the word is, focus on it, make this the time that you do it, because coming out of this, that is going to be the number one thing that you need for anything. Movement, getting a job, anything. You've got to be able to have good credit. So when we come back on the show, we're going to be talking about finding cash and understanding your greatest risk in this financial test of a lifetime called COVID-19.
Final segment, Life Planning 101. Great information, as always, Angela.
Yes, I'm going to get that word right this time. The personal finance test of a lifetime, COVID-19, right here on Life Planning 101. If you've missed part of this show, you need to go back and listen to it. You need to share it. Everybody needs to know. We talked about protecting your credit through this. Extremely valuable information. It's not out there. Get it out there. So let's talk about finding cash. Number one, Saturday, the Treasury checks started going out to people with their, maximum AGI levels of the stimulus checks. So watch for those to hit your bank account if you have direct deposit set up. If you don't, it's going to take you a while to be able to get that. If you don't, make sure that you sign up. You can do that. You can actually go on to TurboTax. They've partnered with the government right now because the government's been too slow to set up their own website. So you can go on there and say, I don't file my taxes and get a direct deposit, and I'm not set up on Social Security, and you can enter your information so something can be direct deposited into your bank account. So that's really good information. Second thing is, and I thought of this weekend. I got a credit card that I get a physical statement because I don't spend much on it, but I had some points that have built up on that, and they're cash back points. And I thought, well, why people could be thinking about that. Think about using your points as cash to pay off your credit cards. Okay, that could be a huge opportunity for you, right? Also, subscriptions. We've gone subscription haywire in this country, okay? Look at your credit card statement or your bank statement and look at everything that you're doing for subscriptions. You probably could cancel 99% of them. They're all wants, not needs right now. Absolutely. And, make sure you get rid of all that fluff. In fact, go through your entire budget. We talk about that being the foundation that you've got. You need to respect that, because if cash is king right now, you need to get down to your wants. Think of what your great-grandparents and grandparents would have done during the Great Depression. That's the way you need to be thinking about your budget right now. And can you do it? How can you do it if you have to do it? It's that important.
Sure.
Okay. So that's finding cash. Now, let's understand the greatest risk that you have. This one's a biggie. And we kind of brought this up in the beginning. And I want to take you through a process. I saw this little cartoon about, okay, this is the world we live in. Introverts, very happy. They're like, this is the life we always dreamed about. Extroverts, depressed. I have to spend another waking moment in this house doing nothing else, right? Media, picture of grim Gothic city. Everything is dying and falling apart and it's over, right? And the reality is there's all-out wars and battles over toilet paper in Walmart with masks on and, little, what are they called? The swords and
saber swords.
Saber swords and such, right? So this is the differences and what is actually happening here. Now, I bring this out to you because every day is a roller coaster. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Good news and bad news alike. The investment markets are volatile. I mean, heck, I saw, oh my goodness, great. They struck a deal with OPEC. Markets are going to be flying high. I looked at the Dow futures. They were down 300 points at the same time. I'm like, wait, how does this happen? How does this actually happen, right? So, of course, everything kind of has jumped back up. But the reality is things are volatile. Nobody knows what is actually going on. And you have to remember that media's grim Gothic view is what sells, okay? I'm going to give you some numbers. From March 16th through the 20th, Fox News saw its ratings climb 60%. CNN was up 119%. And MSNBC's increase was over 37% over the same time frame from the year before.
Wow.
Wow is right, okay? So if people are watching that grim Gothic intake all day long, what is actually going through your brain? Negative, right? So you have to understand that rash decisions are going to be the most dangerous decisions of your lifetime financially, okay? Now, it could otherwise too, right? But if you take rash decisions during this time, there's a likelihood that they're probably not logical decisions because they're based on everything that's getting inserted into your brain on an everyday basis, which isn't positive at all. So you have to remember to be basic and stay with your disciplines that we know to be true. And when I talk about the greatest risk through all of this, that greatest risk is you.
Me.
You. Anyone, right?
Anyone.
Yourself, right? The greatest risk that we're going through
because of your decisions that you make.
Because of your behavioral impact on your own life, right? You have these behaviors that are going to happen because you react to something. And it can be scary if you let it consume you. Absolutely. Or you can look at this from what I see many entrepreneurs looking at this as an opportunity of a lifetime. They're thinking, okay, what can we do new? I know of 3 meetings that happened this weekend about new businesses. New businesses.
Mark Cuban's came out and said there'll be a lot of new businesses that'll be prosper 5 to 10 years after this is over that started during this.
Absolutely. So you can look at it one of two ways. I choose to have the reality, have your sword and your face mask on when you go into Walmart, be ready and be like that introvert. Enjoy your self-reflection time and understand what's really going on here. Read, do your devotions, all the things that we talked about last week, right? That were extremely important for you to not waste this opportunity. And remember, whatever Warren Buffett does is probably pretty logical. We'd probably all agree, right? Okay. So he says, buy fear and sell greed. Buy fear and sell greed. Right. What are you doing? Are you buying fear or are you selling fear right now?
A lot of people are selling fear.
They are selling fear. And although we're talking about investments, that could really be a logical rule for anything to do financially with what's going on right here. So, earlier this year, before all this crazy COVID-19, we talked about having your financial vitals checked, okay? So if you go and sign up for our newsletter this week, you'll have a hyperlink to that and getting your financial vitals checked and getting back to the basics, going back to that story of my son telling his dad, hey, if you just dig around the rock, you can get the rock out, right? So, the simplicity, let's go back to those basics and make sure that you're in a great place because you can't change where you are, right? We can't change that, but you can start today to change the ending of where you're going to be someday.
Very good.
Yes. So don't waste another moment and do what we say. Live life on purpose. Why not?
Absolutely.
Right? God bless everyone, all of our listeners. We pray that you are staying safe, and we thank every one of you for your patriotism to this country of keeping that social distance, because we all know what they're saying, that it's working, and we will get through this. We just need to continue to pray for one another and pray that God protects our country. And we just look forward to being able to help you guys each and every week. And make sure you call us with any questions you have at Kennedy-financial.com. You can find all of our contact information there. With that, my name is Angela Robinson in the great town of Eastland, Texas. God bless you, and God bless America.
This is offered through Smart Money Group, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Securities offered through Calton & Associates Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC. Kennedy Financial Services Incorporated is an independent of Calton & Associates Incorporated and Smart Money Group, LLC.